Pradeepan Pampirikunnu's essay, Nationalism, Modernity, Keralaness, a Subaltern critique, begins with a quote from A. L. Basham's A Cultural History of India, highlighting the importance of individualism in Indian democracy. Basham notes that while Chinese sages and Hebrew prophets focused on the salvation of the entire community, Indian seers emphasized the salvation of individual men and women. Pambrikunnu argues that this individualist idea of salvation has been fundamental to Indian life and continues to shape the country's democratic system, often neglecting the importance of communities. In the Indian context, caste is not just a superstructure but a self sufficient structure that encompasses economic processes. Caste based production relationships were the foundation upon which landlordism was built, contrary to the notion that landlordism led to the development of caste. The agricultural system in Kerala serves as an example of this relationship, with agricultural laborers forming the lowest layer, Nair managers and overseers occupying the next layer, and Brahmins controlling the upper layer and overseeing the system. The essay also highlights the emergence of a new Kerala in the late 19th century, shaped by anti caste and anti landlordism ideas, which were further expanded upon by the Communist Party and land reforms in the mid 20th century. However, Pambrikunnu argues that the agricultural production relations in Kerala were built on a romanticized illusion of the relationship between lower caste laborers and landlords. The formation of Indian nationalism, similarly, also had romantic and religious elements, with the exploitation of lower castes being seen as a natural order. The nationalist imagination homogenized Hindus as a single religion, incorporating Hindu, Muslim, and Buddhist religious symbols. This homogenization came at the expense of acknowledging social reformers like Jyotiba Phule, who analyzed caste operations from a modern perspective and fought against it relentlessly. The essay points out a similar political development in Kerala, where social reformers like Ayyankali, who was revered as the emperor of Pulayur, were not considered icons of the entire state. Prominent communist leaders like E.M.S. Namboodiripad did not recognize Ayyankali's contributions in their writings. In essence, there were two nodes of caste sensibility: a public node shaped by nationalism that had a pan Indian ideological base, and a complex regional cultural structure formed by layered castes, rituals, and the beliefs they embody. The prescribed social distances between castes were specific to the regional context, while Kerala shared the pan Indian paradigm in the fields of aesthetics and philosophical thought. The Kerala Renaissance of the early 20th century, spearheaded by Sri Narayana Guru, aimed to integrate lower castes into elite Savarna nationalism. However, this movement also opened up possibilities for the liberation of lower castes. One aspect was the idea of casteless spirituality, while another was an anti caste stance combined with the assimilation of Western modernity. This displacement of traditional caste occupations introduced the concept of the worker community organizations like the SNDP, Sri Narayana Dharma Paribalana Yogam, which promoted the establishment of factories and libraries. Ayyankali, in his maiden speech before the Travancore Praja Moolam Sabha, proposed the concept of farmland for farmers. It is noteworthy that the modernization initiated by Narayana Guru and Ayyankali paved the way for regional development that ran parallel to Western modernity. The idea of Western modernity, as depicted in works like Chandu Menon's Indulekha, was initially seen as liberating ideal. However, it also propagated a sense of universal citizenship that was inherently Eurocentric. Social reformers like Narayan Guru brought regional populations into the public sphere against the backdrop of national modernity, which assigned them this universal citizenship. Unfortunately, within the overarching framework of national modernity, the initiatives and ideas put forth by Narayana Guru and Ayyangali were not fully appreciated. They advocated for a materialistic and production centric environment as well as social justice. However, the nationalist idea that emerged propagated the strange notion that being a universal citizen alone would suffice to dismantle the caste system without considering the specific contextual factors and broader aspects of caste dynamics. This successful promotion of nationalism overshadowed and marginalized the anti caste ideology and socio economic democracy introduced by regional modernity. Therefore, the distinctive specificities promoted by regional modernity were erased by the universalized notion of nationalism. Reforms proposed by leaders like Krishnadi Asan and Ayyangali for the emancipation of the oppressed were reduced to mere caste activities, while individuals like K.P. Keshavamenan were hailed as champions of the nationalist discourse. During the Kerala Renaissance period, there was a tendency towards community formation where various subcastes merged to form larger communities. For instance, Shudras became part of the Nair community, incorporating several subcastes. These communities became effective in demanding social and economic advantages as well as sharing power. Meanwhile, organizations like SJPS, formed by Ayyangali, became increasingly fragile and dysfunctional. At this point, casteism rather than anti caste sentiment became the basis of democracy. Pampirikunnu notes that even after 50 years since the formation of Kerala, oppressed communities have not gained power. This is not due to their lack of involvement in socio-political movements and the democratic process, but because the democratic system itself is influenced by casteist priorities. Moreover, communists have argued for reservation based on economic backwardness within the upper caste, which dilutes the concept of reservation and social justice. According to Pampirikunnu, casteism permeates all aspects of Kerala life, especially in the public sphere. This compels Dalits who have attained positions of power through reservation to conceal their identity. Revealing one's identity is considered pre modern and anti class and against the ethos of communism. Meanwhile, upper castes continue to maintain their dominance in the social system and enjoy caste privileges. As a result, modernization has created a pro Savarna silence among Dalits, which finds expression in novels like Indulekha and Rendidangali. In these novels, Dalit characters are either completely absent or focus solely on class struggles rather than asserting their own identity. It is important to note that the social movements and ideals of Ayyangali have not found expression in mainstream Malayalam literary works. Further, though most Renaissance reformers emphasized the importance of education in the emancipation of the oppressed, Dalit characters in novels like Rendidangali do not advocate for education but become assets of labor unions. This reveals the limitations of Marxist politics in Kerala, which reduces questions of social power to issues of landlordism. Writers like Thagari portray the miserable lives of the oppressed, but fail to incorporate the dynamics of Swarna Avarna interactions seen in early Malayalam novels such as Saraswati Vijayam, Gadagavadam, or Parishkara Vijayam. They only understood caste as a superstructural effect of landlordism. Caste considerations pervade Kerala's public life, yet they are not openly acknowledged by political parties. The Congress party presents the nationalist Savarna modern man as the ideal model, while the Communist Party endorses a Savarna working class man. Caste, implicitly or explicitly, functions in the socio-political imaginations of Kerala. The rejection of regional identities and the endorsement of a pan Indian Savarna subjectivity are prevalent in Malayalam literature. An analysis of literary works by M.T. Vasudevan Nair would shed light on this process. In M.T.'s literary works, the decline of Nair Taravadu, matrilineal family homes, and the grievances of those dismissed from these households and their property are prominent themes. The Nair household is portrayed as the centerpiece of his fictional world, with its human relationships glorified. The language, art forms, social customs, and inheritance practices of the Nayars have shaped the common understanding of Malayalis. MT's writing style and use of Valvanadan dialect have transformed the Tharavadu from a mere inheritance system into the cultural foundation of Kerala. In his writings, the individual takes center stage, while the rest of society remains in the background. His prose successfully rescues the Tharavadu from decline, portraying it as a secular nostalgia shared by the people of Kerala. The inception of modernist literature in Malayalam is also rooted in Savarna aesthetics. Influenced by European aesthetics and material awareness, the pioneers of modernism delved into the Upanishadic worlds and often disregarded the socio political milieu from which their writings emerged. They concealed their position in the caste hierarchy and adopted a cosmopolitan air that was unfamiliar to Kerala at that time. The expatriate modernists idealized Kerala as a nostalgic past. Kerala modernity was built upon a highly individualistic sensibility. Literature depicted individuals with unlimited freedom, predominantly from Savarna caste. The image of a modern individual who feels distinctively different from their society is a recurring presence in Malayalam literature since the 1960s. Writers like C.V. Sriraman, P. Vatsala, and M. Sukumaran explore the fringes of modernity and present oppressed individuals who often receive sympathy. They possess a peripheral agency in their writing. The decline of communist movements, global ideological crises, and cultural transformations after modernism have led to the emergence of a new cultural equation that questions the implications of modern Savarna individuals in literature. This cultural context has empowered Dalits to claim their right to authorship. Political changes in North India and the realities of caste and religion have allowed them to recognize and define the nature of this authorship. It is during this time that educated Dalits who were involved in communist and Naxalite movements assert their claim to authorship as Dalits. This period also witnessed the convergence of Dalits from community organizations and those from leftist politics, resulting in the formation of their own socio-cultural interactions. While this claim to authorship is relatively recent, its origins can be traced back to the publication of Saraswati Vijayam. The continuity of this perspective, considering the community as a positive entity, can be observed in the works of poets like K.P. Karupan. C. Ayyappan effectively challenges the false human phase of modernism in his short stories. He reveals the oppressive nature of individual focused literary formulations within Kerala community. His works are among the most original and creative expressions of Dalits in Malayalam. The most powerful critique of Kerala modernity's illusion of freedom and individualism emerges from the autobiographies of Dalits. These narratives, born on the outskirts of postmodernist discourses, shift the focus from individuals to the tales of communities and occupations. They document the joys, agonies, victories, tortures, and failures of these individuals. The individual disappears and community history takes precedence. The emergence of life stories written by literate individuals about illiterate and marginalized Dalits such as C.K. Janu, Nalini Jamila, and Mailamma has created a crisis for the writer's own self. These literary narratives present the complexity of social reality and address specific systemic issues rather than the heroic struggles of individuals. They emerge from lived experiences and portray society in its entirety. Mainstream Savarna literature, trapped in its aesthetic theories, still seeks universal truths.